I always like it when people own their stuff. I've told you about the Cleveland Browns this year. I think they have two major issues. I don't like their offensive line. I said that all summer, and I have no idea if Freddie Kitchens can coach or is completely over his head. And I think those are the two big issues. There's another issue I said, but I didn't think it would rear its head in week one. The third issue I said was there's a lot of mouths to feed here. What happens when Jarvis Landry gets ignored for 3 weeks? What happens when OBJ doesn't get fed the rock? But I thought the first two issues, offensive line and Freddie Kitchens, how good is he? You'd see early, and we have. The third issue I thought would develop by Thanksgiving. OBJ's not getting the ball. David Njoku feels ignored at tight end, and he's really good. That actually reared its head in week one, which is why I said a couple days ago, this thing could unravel here in about 4 weeks. I want you to think about Monday night. Freddie Kitchens acknowledged, and this was all over Twitter during the game, like Twitter guy could figure this out. Freddie Kitchens couldn't, and acknowledged it this week. Why was Baker passing with 2 minutes left in the game? He got hurt against Tennessee, and he was getting whacked by the Jets. You had a double-digit lead in the entire second half. Njoku had a concussion. Baker got hurt last week. OBJ was cramping. Get out of town. The Jets were on their third quarterback. They were no longer a threat in the last 15 minutes of the game. What were you doing? Like, I knew their offensive line wasn't good, and I had questions about Freddie Kitchens. But the feeding the mouth thing, like feeding the players. You know what I think happened to Freddie Kitchens in week one? He wanted to get OBJ the ball because he's in New York. And then he wanted to get Jarvis Landry touches because he didn't get a lot of touches early. And they struggled with the keeping everybody happy. That's with OBJ cramping. That's with Njoku out. Nick Chubb only had the Cleveland offense with a double-digit lead the entire second half. They had 21 carries, rushing carries. That's it. Jets had more rushing yards. This, in Freddie Kitchens, yesterday admitted it. Like, what are you doing with Baker Mayfield? He's a two-time walk-on. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's running around getting popped. Freddie Kitchens talked about it.
You know, in that situation, you're either going to hand the ball off and get hit in the backfield 3 or 4 yards, or you take advantage of, what they're giving you, and then when they cover it, you just got to protect yourself. I don't need him out there taking unnecessary shots.
I think Monday was a rare NFL game. You get about 5 of these a year. You got one with Baltimore and Miami first week. If you watch the Monday Night Football game, after 2 series, you had a sense that, the Jets are not going to score tonight. They're just not going to score. They've got 7 starters out. They're on their backup quarterback. Then the backup quarterback got hurt. You're on your third quarterback. You kind of knew this is not going to be a competitive game. When you're on the road and you have a bad O-line and a prized second-year quarterback, a lot of times you take a lead, you just want to get out of town healthy. Njoku had a concussion. OBJ's cramping. Baker was hurt last week. Twitter could figure this out. Like, people on Twitter were like, why is Baker in the game? Why is Baker throwing? So the 3 issues for Cleveland, bad O-line and Freddie Kitchens, I thought we'd see immediately. We have. The third issue with Cleveland I thought would take till Thanksgiving, which is a lot of people to keep happy. I think Freddie Kitchens was trying to keep his receivers happy, didn't give it to Nick Chubb, didn't run the football, and now acknowledges, what was I doing? If fans on Twitter can figure out stuff, NFL coaches that plan on or try to beat Belichick and Andy Reid have to figure it out before us. Joy with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
So Sam Darnold was sidelines with mono during the Jets' loss to the Browns Monday night, but he said he's feeling much better, and doctors are now hopeful that he will be able to return Week 5 against the Eagles. Darnold spoke about his recovery and how he knew something was off after the Week 1 loss to the Bills.
After the game, I think that's when my body decided to shut down. And when I came in that Monday, I was feeling terrible. And then Tuesday morning was when it really hit. And that's when we did all the tests with the doctors and all that stuff. Now I'm back in the facility and I'm back doing normal things. It's just not able to work out or get my blood pressure up in any way.
Now, if he returns week 5, he'll only miss the week 3 game against the Patriots because they have a bye in week 4.
Yeah, it's an early bye.
So it's kind of an interesting scenario for him. And they lucked out as far as the early bye in this situation.
Well, the Jets' early schedule was going to be the toughest part of it anyway. The key to the Jets is post-Thanksgiving. Could they reel off 6 or 7 wins? I feel like, listen, this is a reality here. Injuries don't derail good teams. The Rams had injuries last year. The Patriots did. The Chiefs did. Philadelphia did. They didn't derail those teams. Injuries completely derail bad teams. The Jags, the Jets have injuries. You can't even watch them on television. Like, they're unwatchable. I love Darnold, but I almost feel like just check this year off and it doesn't matter. The same as last year. A fired coach, fired GM. I feel like this year you can just toss it away.
Well, it's just disappointing because you wanted to see Darnold take a step up. You wanted to see him and Le'Veon Bell take the offense to the next level. They do have a lot of injuries, and I'm not saying that won't happen. There's still a lot of time left in this season if he comes back healthy and 100% in week 5. So that's more what you're looking for this year. I didn't really have any expectations of them to make the playoffs or make a run, but for this situation, Sam Darnold being young, Adam Gase, Le'Veon Bell coming in this year, you just wanted to see them develop a little bit. That's really all you can ask for. So I don't feel like the season is a loss just because they're not making the playoffs.
Yeah, well, I think at least now, I think they have a smart offensive coach and a capable GM. So that's the good news for Sam Darnold. When things are going poor or poorly, you have to take little wins. And the little win is, at least I've got a good GM now.
Well, also, Adam Gase could probably, infuse a little bit of hope and inspiration and perspective on the situation.
Better body language.
Rather than, hanging his head down like they literally the season is over tomorrow. Right. They're not allowed to play anymore. Like there's still things you can get out of this season. You can still develop. Right. So, have a little more of a positive outlook. And the fact that they have a week 4 bye, so he's only going to miss the next game is a good thing if he comes back in week 5, obviously. So Cam Newton suffered a foot injury during the preseason, but he felt healthy enough to start the season. We know he plays hurt a lot. Well, now his status for week 3 is up in the air because he aggravated the injury during their loss to the Bucs last Thursday. He was in a walking boot at the Panthers facility this morning. So Kyle Allen will be the starter against the Cardinals if Cam cannot play.
Kyle Allen was the #1 high school quarterback in the country. I remember seeing his tape and telling somebody, that's the best high school quarterback tape I think I've seen in a decade. And then Kyle Allen went and bounced around in college. You know what's funny about that division? I still don't feel like Carolina's out of it because I think 9-7 is going to win that division. I'm not so sure 8-8 doesn't win that division. Seriously, like I look at Carolina and Cam and I'm like, that division's ugly. I mean, do you trust Atlanta?
No.
I don't. I mean, I picked them to win the division. I watched them against Philadelphia, and I'm like, all sorts of turnover. Philadelphia lost all their perimeter players 5 minutes in, and it was a game at the end.
I'm just disappointed that we didn't have a healthy Cam Newton this season because it felt like one of those years where Cam really had to have another breakout year, a great year to kind of solidify his legacy and his position there with Carolina and Ron Rivera. And now it feels like they're just doomed again because he's not healthy. And I don't know that that's all his fault. He's been banged up a lot. Well, but he plays hurt a lot.
Yeah, but I don't think Cam can be a victim of it. I mean, Cam has had a lot of good players and Pro Bowlers everywhere, and Cam is always, again, I'm not into this. Like Aaron Rodgers. Some of those injuries, Aaron, they're on you. Andrew Luck. A lot of those hits, Andrew Luck, they're on you. Deshaun Watson, I love you, but slide. I mean, Russell Wilson never gets hit. He doesn't have X-ray eyes.
I do think that Cam takes more hits than he needs to.
Oh, God.
Because he's a big guy and he probably feels like he can.
Yeah, Big Ben did the same thing first 3 years. It's like, get rid of the ball. Yeah. By the way, Eli Manning's not a great athlete or huge. Never hurt. He gets rid of the ball.
I just think Cam is such a superstar that the NFL is better when he is playing at a high level.
Yes.
And it's just, I don't know that we're ever going to see that again. Finally, the Giants announced yesterday that Daniel Jones will start against the Bucs instead of Eli Manning, putting Eli's future with the Giants in question. He has a full no-trade clause in his contract.
Okay.
And sources say he has no plans to waive it. At least for now, he will stay in New York and help Daniel Jones for his first start this weekend.
He's got a bunch of young kids, too. I don't think he wants to bounce around the country.
Well, also, for what? Like to prove something?
Yeah.
What do you have to prove if you're Eli Manning? He has a $23.2 million cap hit this year and is a free agent in 2020. I think we all, look, this is the situation with Eli Manning for me. It's impossible to tell someone who is not ready to move on from a sport that it's time for them to retire. It's very easy for us to sit here and say Eli Manning should retire. If he's not ready to retire and someone is willing to pay him to play quarterback, then he should do that. We might not like the optics of it. Yeah. We might not enjoy watching him play, but it's not about us. Like, he has to get the full experience that he wants out of the NFL because there's never going to be an opportunity again in his life to play professional football. So would I like to see him retire gracefully after this year with the Giants? Yes. But there is a chance he plays again somewhere next year, as odd as that is going to be. There's a very high demand for quarterbacks.
I know, but there's so many good young quarterbacks in this league. I as a general manager, 5 years ago when half the first-round quarterback picks were failing, I would consider it. They're all working now. Next year's going to have four, I'm told by Greg Cosell, 4 minimum first-round quarterbacks. We had 5, and they're all working to some degree, except Darnold's got mono from 2 years ago. I just think the sport now, I'm not going to get an old guy. There's too many good young guys.
No, I agree with you. I wouldn't take Eli Manning in that spot if I'm running a team.
Oh, God, no.
Because what happens if you do get a young guy, now you've got to make Eli Manning the backup, and you've got Eli Manning as your backup, and most teams do not want a, like you always say, celebrity backup. So I wouldn't want that situation. I'm just saying everyone's going to start that discussion about how he needs to retire after this year, which he probably will.
Yes.
But if he wants to keep playing and someone is going to pay him to keep playing, he should get the most out of his career that he wants to.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if anybody paid him.
And he's a Hall of Famer, too.
Yeah, I can argue both ways on that. Joy with the news.
Well,